This video is about hope. A gardener walked in the rain until a wealthy investor stepped in. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. The sound of raindrops tapping against the window was both familiar and comforting to Clara. It was one of those days when the world seemed wrapped in a gray blanket, a stark contrast to the vibrant greens of her garden that lay just outside her small, weathered home. Clara had spent years cultivating her patch of earth, a sanctuary of flowers, vegetables, and herbs that thrived despite the odds. Each morning she would rise before dawn, the soft light of daybreak showering the landscape in hues of gold. There was a ritual to her work, a sacred dance of planting, pruning, and nurturing life. The rich, loamy soil felt like home beneath her fingertips, a grounding reminder of her father's love for gardening. Clara's father, a gentle soul with a passion for nature, had taught her the secrets of the earth. They would spend hours together, planting marigolds and tomatoes, lost in the serene beauty of growing things. When he passed away, Clara had vowed to keep their garden alive, no matter the challenges life threw her way. But those challenges were mounting. The last few seasons had been dry, the once generous soil now cracked and weary. Clara spent long hours watering, tending, and coaxing her plants to survive. But as summer turned to fall, the garden struggled to hold on. On that rainy Tuesday morning, Clara donned her weathered raincoat and boots, a sturdy ensemble that had seen better days. Grabbing her well-worn shovel, she stepped into the rain-soaked garden. The droplets danced around her as she dug, her heart heavy with worry. "I will not let you go," she whispered to the struggling plants, her voice soft amidst the pattering rain. "You are my father's legacy." As she worked, she reflected on her life. Clara had always been fiercely independent, but the harsh realities of the past few years weighed heavily on her. After losing her job at the local flower shop, she had poured her energy into the garden, hoping to sell her produce at the farmer's market. However, the returns were modest, barely enough to cover her bills. As she knelt in the mud, trying to rescue a wilting tomato plant, Clara's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden flash of lightning, followed by a loud clap of thunder. She looked up just in time to catch sight of a figure standing at the edge of her garden, an umbrella shielding their head from the downpour. "Excuse me." The voice was deep and resonant, cutting through the sound of the rain. Clara squinted, recognizing a stranger, a man in a tailored coat that contrasted sharply with her rain-soaked attire. "Are you all right?" he shouted, wincing against the noise. "Yes, just gardening," she called back, a hint of defiance in her tone. "You must be mad." He laughed, stepping closer. His presence was striking, a juxtaposition of sophistication against the wildness of her garden. "I prefer to think I'm dedicated," Clara replied, wiping her muddy hands on her coat and standing up. "What brings you here in this storm?" "I'm Alexander Reed," he said, extending a hand toward her, albeit timidly, as if unsure what to do with the mud-soaked surroundings. "I've been walking nearby and couldn't help but admire your garden." "Admiring? In this weather?" Clara replied, a hint of surprise dancing across her features. "There's beauty in the rain," he said simply, "but I see something deeper here." Clara raised an eyebrow, surprised and flattered. "You think so?" "Absolutely. There's resilience in this garden, just like you." For a moment, Clara was taken aback. No one had ever commented on her perseverance in such a way. "It's a labor of love," she admitted, her voice softening. "But lately, it feels like a losing battle." Alexander studied her for a moment, then offered a slight smile. "Every battle worth fighting comes with its struggles. May I help?" Clara hesitated, unsure about letting a stranger get muddy amidst her sacred space. "It's all right, really. I have it under control." "I insist," he replied earnestly, pulling off his coat and placing it on a nearby bench. "What can I do?" "Okay, you can help me with these," she said, pointing to a cluster of weeds overgrowing the edge of the garden. With that, they worked side by side, the rain continuing to fall. Clara found herself opening up, sharing stories of her father, her dreams of running a thriving garden, and the struggles she faced. "Gardening is like life," she said, pulling out weeds with a determined twist. "You have to keep nurturing what matters, even when everything seems against you." He nodded, his hands working through the weeds. "You have a beautiful philosophy. Have you ever considered expanding beyond this garden?" Clara paused, surprise sweeping over her. "What do you mean?" "I mean, with your talent, you could start a community garden or even a small business. You're nurturing life here. Imagine what you could do with more resources." The idea felt foreign, a distant dream she hadn't dared to entertain. "I'm not sure. I've struggled just to keep this going. It feels impossible." "Nothing is impossible with dedication and the right support," Alexander said, his tone encouraging. "I can help. I run a company that invests in local businesses. Perhaps we could find a way to collaborate." Clara's heart raced. The thought of someone believing in her dreams felt surreal. "Really? You'd do that?" "Of course," he said with a smile. "And who knows, maybe you'll inspire others along the way." As the rain poured down, Clara felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. Perhaps this wasn't just another storm. Perhaps it was an opportunity for growth. After hours of working together, the rain finally began to let up, the clouds dissipating to reveal a timid sun peeking through the gray. Clara felt a warmth blooming in her chest, a sense of possibility that she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. "I can't thank you enough for today," she said, brushing mud from her hands. "You've given me a lot to think about." "Just promise me you'll consider it," Alexander replied, his eyes sincere. "You have something special here, Clara. Don't let it fade away." As they exchanged contact information, Clara felt a change stirring within her. The weight of her struggles was still there, but now she had a glimmer of hope. Someone believing in her vision. As Alexander walked away, the sun shone brightly over the garden, illuminating the flowers and vegetables that had been on the brink of defeat. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the fresh scent of rain-soaked earth all around her. For the first time in a long while, she felt her spirit lifting, buoyed by the possibility of tomorrow. That day, a gardener walked in the rain. And for the first time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to walk alone anymore. The rain finally ceased, leaving Clara's garden glistening with droplets, each one a tiny prism catching the newly revealed sunlight. The clouds had parted, and the world felt transformed, as if the storm had washed away more than just the dust that clung to her plants. Clara stood among her crops, feeling invigorated and hopeful. She spent the next few days in a flurry of activity, cleaning up the remnants of the storm and tending to her plants with renewed vigor. Each morning she woke with the sun, her mind bustling with ideas that she hadn't dared to explore before Alexander's visit. Clara began sketching out plans for a community garden, her fingers racing across the pages of an old notebook. On the fourth day after their encounter, she prepared to meet Alexander at the local cafe, an old haunt where she'd once worked, filled with memories of laughter and camaraderie. As she stepped inside, the warm aroma of coffee welcomed her, mingling with the fresh pastries that lined the counter. "Clara?" Alexander waved from a corner table, his smile bright as the sun streaming through the window. She felt a flutter in her chest, a mixture of excitement and nervousness. As she approached, she noticed a small pile of seed packets on the table. "What's this?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "Just a little something I thought might inspire you," he said, handing her a packet. "Heirloom tomatoes, the ones you mentioned wanting to grow." She turned the packet over, a surge of gratitude swelling within her. "You didn't have to do this. It's too generous." "I believe in your vision, Clara. You have something special. I just want to help you grow it." They spent the next few hours discussing ideas, the warmth of their conversation illuminating even the darkest corners of Clara's doubts. Alexander listened intently as she spoke about her passion for gardening, her father's teachings, and the dreams she had for a larger community project. Together, they brainstormed ways to gather volunteers, raise funds, and spread the word. "That's it!" Clara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "A community workshop where people can come and learn about gardening. We can teach them about sustainable practices and how to grow their own food." "I love it," Alexander replied, his excitement matching hers. "We can even invite local chefs to demonstrate how to cook with fresh produce. It could draw a crowd." As they fleshed out plans, Clara felt herself growing more confident. She hadn't allowed herself to dream in so long, and with each idea they shared, the vision for her community garden blossomed. By the end of their meeting, she had a tangible plan that included not just her garden, but a space for education, connection, and hope. But as Clara walked home, that familiar shadow of self-doubt crept in. What if it didn't work? What if she couldn't pull it off? She leaned against the wooden fence surrounding her garden, gripping the cold, damp surface. Her heart raced as she realized that stepping into this new venture meant embracing the possibility of failure. The next morning, Clara woke feeling the weight of uncertainty, but she pushed through, reminding herself of Alexander's belief in her. She grabbed her gardening gloves and went outside, determined to invest in her dream as she had tended to her garden. Days turned into weeks as Clara and Alexander set to work. They organized meetings at the cafe, reaching out to potential volunteers and local businesses, eager to get involved. Clara found herself speaking passionately about the community garden, her voice steady and clear, as if she were sharing a piece of her heart. Yet, despite the initial enthusiasm, challenges soon emerged. The first meeting attracted a small group, barely enough to launch the project. Clara's heart sank as she watched the empty chairs around the table. The doubts that had once lingered in the shadows now flooded her mind. "Clara, this is just the beginning," Alexander reassured her, leaning back in his chair. "Every great journey starts small. Let's keep pushing forward. We'll find our community." "But what if nobody cares?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "What if I'm just wasting my time? Remember what you told me about gardening. You have to nurture what matters. It's the same with this garden. We need to keep tending to it, together." With each passing week, Clara fought through the waves of disappointment. They continued to spread the word, posting flyers, hosting informational sessions, and even setting up a booth at the farmers market. Slowly, people began to take notice. The community responded, drawn to Clara's passion and Alexander's vision. One sunny Saturday, Clara stood surrounded by a small but spirited group of volunteers. Together, they dug holes, planted seeds, and shared laughter amidst the soil. Clara felt a surge of joy as she watched her dream take shape, but a lingering fear still gnawed at her heart. "Clara, look!" A young girl named Lucy squealed, holding up a sprouting seedling. "It's growing!" Clara knelt beside her, her heart swelling at the sight of the green shoots emerging from the earth. "You did this, Lucy. You helped bring it to life." As the weeks turned into months, the community garden began to flourish. Neighbors gathered, sharing stories and plants, bonding over their shared love for gardening. Clara watched in awe, her heart lightening with every smile and laugh that filled the air. But one evening, as Clara watered the garden, a chilling storm rolled in. The winds howled, and the rain poured, threatening to undo all their hard work. Clara's heart raced as she rushed to protect the seedlings, her hands trembling in the chaos. "Clara!" Alexander's voice broke through the storm, urging her to take cover. "We can't control the weather, but we can control how we respond." He helped her secure the plants, their movements synchronized as they worked against the elements. "This garden has withstood so much already. Remember what it endured in the past." As they stood together, drenched yet determined, Clara felt a flicker of strength. "You're right. We can't let this storm take away what we've built." You are ye. The next morning, Clara awoke to a sun-kissed garden, the storm leaving behind a beautiful sheen on the leaves. The community had gathered, ready to help assess the damage. Together, they worked tirelessly, replanting what had been uprooted and reinforcing their fragile seedlings. As Clara watched her community come together, the weight of doubt began to lift. She realized that resilience wasn't just about her, it was about the connections she had nurtured. They were all in this together, sharing both the struggles and the victories. Months later, as the garden flourished, Clara stood before a crowd at their first harvest festival. The air was filled with laughter, the scent of fresh produce, and the warmth of connection. She spoke with a passion she had never known before, sharing her journey and the importance of community. What started as a small dream has grown into something beautiful. A testament to our strength and unity, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. Thank you for believing in this garden and in one another. As the audience erupted in applause, Clara spotted Alexander at the back, a proud smile on his face. In that moment, she understood that dreams could flourish with dedication and support, just like the plants in her garden. As the sun set over the vibrant colors of their harvest, Clara felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The journey had not been easy, but the challenges had only deepened her appreciation for the beauty of resilience, kindness, and the indomitable spirit of community. And so a gardener walked not just in the rain, but through storms, sunlight, and the beautiful unpredictability of life. With each step, she sowed seeds of hope, inspiring others to nurture their dreams as steadfastly as she had nurtured her garden. The sun's gentle warmth wrapped around Clara like a comforting embrace as she stood amidst her flourishing community garden. The air was fragrant with the scent of fresh herbs, and the sound of laughter echoed around her. It was a sound that had once felt like a distant dream, and now it was a reality she cherished deeply. The first harvest festival had exceeded all her expectations, drawing neighbors and friends alike, all eager to celebrate the fruits of their labor. "Clara, look at these tomatoes!" shouted Lucy, the young girl who had first discovered a seedling sprout. Her arms were outstretched, cradling a basket overflowing with ripe, red tomatoes. "Can you believe we grew these?" "I can," Clara replied, her heart swelling with pride as she knelt beside Lucy. "You've all done such a wonderful job caring for these plants. Can we have a tomato race?" Another child chimed in, excitement bubbling over. Tomato race?" Clara laughed, shaking her head. "How would that work? Would we roll them down the hill?" "Exactly," Lucy exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "We should do it." As laughter erupted around her, Clara felt a wave of joy wash over her. This was what she had envisioned, a space where children could play, learn, and grow alongside their families. She took a moment to soak in the energy that surrounded her, realizing how far they had come. But even in this sea of happiness, a flicker of doubt lingered in Clara's heart. The last few months had been a whirlwind of activity, and while progress was evident, whispers of uncertainty had begun to creep back in. What if they could not sustain this momentum? What if the community lost interest after the festival? The fear gnawed at her, threatening to overshadow the joy of the moment. "Clara, are you all right?" Alexander asked, appearing at her side with a concerned expression. He had been her steadfast partner throughout this journey, and the warmth in his gaze always reassured her. "Just thinking," she admitted, forcing a smile. I can't help but worry if this is just a fleeting moment." "Of course you're thinking," he replied gently, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "But look at what you've created. This garden has become a hub of connection, and the people love it. It's not just about today." His words wrapped around her heart, pushing back the shadows of doubt. "You're right. I just want it to last. I want this to mean something." "It already does," he replied, nodding toward the bustling crowd. "Look around you. The laughter, the joy. It's all because of your vision. You've given these people a reason to come together." Clara took a deep breath, allowing the moment to sink in. She watched as neighbors gathered to share recipes, exchanging ideas on how to use their fresh produce. Children raced with baskets filled to the brim, their faces aglow with delight. If she had learned anything from her garden, it was that growth took time, patience, and care. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Clara noticed a familiar figure approaching. It was Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman who lived down the street. Clara had often seen her tending to her own small patches of flowers. "Clara," Mrs. Thompson called, her voice a blend of excitement and warmth. "I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done. This garden has brought so much joy back into our neighborhood." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," Clara replied, her heart lifting at the kind words. "I'm so glad you're here. Your flowers always brighten everything up." But nothing compares to the happiness you fostered here," Mrs. Thompson said, her eyes twinkling. "I haven't seen the community come together like this in years. You've done something truly special." Clara felt tears prick at her eyes, overwhelmed by the warmth of the moment. "It's not just me, it's all of us. We've built this together." As the evening wore on, Clara found herself caught in conversations with neighbors, sharing stories and laughter as the sun set slowly. The soft glow of string lights illuminated the garden, creating a magical atmosphere that felt alive with possibilities. But the next morning, when the festival buzz had settled into the quiet serenity of the garden, Clara's doubts returned with a vengeance. She spent the day tending to the plants, pulling weeds and watering the seedlings, but her mind wandered to the future. She had poured herself into this project, but would it last beyond this initial excitement? "Clara!" Alexander's voice broke through her thoughts as he stepped into the garden. "I brought you something." Curious, Clara turned to see him holding a clipboard. "What's that?" "Community feedback," he said, a wide smile breaking across his face. "I asked folks to write down their thoughts about the garden and what they'd like to see next." "Oh." Clara's heart raced with anticipation as Alexander handed her the clipboard. She scanned the pages filled with messy handwriting and doodles, each comment brimming with enthusiasm. "We love the garden," one note exclaimed. "Can we have more workshops about cooking?" another asked. "See," Alexander said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "They want to keep this going. They believe in you, Clara." But a nagging doubt still loomed. What if they forget about it? What if I can't keep up with their expectations? "Then we figure it out together," Alexander replied, determination coursing through him. "This is about community. It's not just on your shoulders. You have support now." Clara felt a surge of warmth at his words. Perhaps she had been too focused on her fears instead of recognizing the strength that came from shared dreams. "You're right. It's about all of us." With renewed energy, Clara dove headfirst into planning. They organized workshops, cooking demonstrations, and gardening classes. Each event drew people in, and slowly, the garden transformed into a vibrant community hub filled with laughter, learning, and connection. One evening, Clara stood before a group of eager faces gathered around a wooden table beneath the stars. They were all there, ready to learn how to cook with the produce they had grown. Clara felt her heart race with excitement and nerves as she began. "Tonight, we're going to make a simple but delicious ratatouille using our fresh vegetables," Clara said, her hands trembling slightly. "I want you all to feel the joy of creating something beautiful with what we've nurtured together." As she guided them through the steps, she watched their eyes light up with enthusiasm. Laughter filled the air, and Clara couldn't help but smile. It wasn't just about the food. It was about the connections they were forging, the bonds that were growing stronger with each shared meal. Later that evening, as they all sat together, plates piled high with food made from the garden's bounty, Clara marveled at the beauty of the moment. She listened to neighbors exchanging stories of their childhood gardens, sharing recipes and memories that transcended generations. "This garden has brought us together in ways I never thought possible," one participant said, raising a glass in toast. "To Clara and this amazing community." "To Clara," the group echoed, their voices ringing with sincerity and warmth. Tears welled in Clara's eyes as she realized the depth of what they had built together. This garden was more than just a patch of earth. It was a symbol of resilience, hope, and the beauty of human connection. That night, as Clara lay in bed, she felt a profound sense of peace. Yes, challenges lay ahead, but she was no longer alone. They had created a thriving community, and together they could weather any storm. As the seasons changed and the garden continued to flourish, Clara learned to embrace the unpredictability of life. She knew that challenges would come, just as storms would. But she also understood now that within every struggle lay the seeds of growth. When a drought threatened their community garden a few months later, Clara felt the familiar pangs of fear. But this time, she faced it differently. "We'll dig deeper, work harder, and support each other," she told her volunteers during a gathering to strategize. With determination and unity, they began a watering schedule, organizing shifts to ensure every plant received the care it needed. Clara watched as neighbors banded together, each one committed to nurturing their shared dream. And when the rains finally returned, washing over the struggling garden, Clara felt the impact of the storm in a new light. The downpour transformed their garden into a vibrant paradise, and the laughter of children echoed through the air as they played beneath the sun. In that moment, Clara understood that life, much like gardening, was about resilience, connection, and embracing the beauty that comes from nurturing what matters most. The challenges would always be there, but so would the strength of her community and her own unwavering spirit. Years later, as Clara stood surrounded by flourishing plants during another harvest festival, she smiled at the faces of her neighbors, young and old, all part of this tapestry of life they had woven together. "Together, we've created something truly special," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "This garden is a testament to the power of hope, kindness, and the human spirit." And as they celebrated that day, Clara felt a deep sense of fulfillment. A gardener once walked in the rain, but now she stood tall, unwavering, surrounded by the vibrant colors of life. She had learned to embrace the more. The sun shone brightly on Clara's community garden, its golden rays casting a warm glow over the vibrant blossoms and ripening vegetables. Clara stood at the entrance, her heart swelling with pride as she watched families strolling along the paths, laughter ringing through the air. It was a far cry from the first days of her endeavor, a transformation that felt almost magical. "Clara, come look at this." A familiar voice interrupted her reverie. It was Lucy, now a sprightly 10-year-old, her hair tied back in a messy ponytail. She was crouched beside a row of zucchini plants, her hands covered in dirt. "What have you found, Lucy?" Clara asked, bending down to join her. Lucy bounced on her toes, her eyes sparkling. "Look, they're huge, and there are so many." She picked up a zucchini, its bright green skin glistening in the sun. "Can we make zucchini bread?" Clara chuckled, feeling a warmth spread through her heart. "Of course. We'll bake together later." As Lucy squealed with delight, Clara's mind wandered to the challenges they had faced to reach this point. From the initial struggle to gather volunteers, overcome fears of failure, and battle the drought, each obstacle had tested not just her resolve, but also the unity of her community. "Clara!" A voice called, pulling her back. It was Alexander, his usual confident stride carrying him toward her. "I just finished the flyer for the upcoming workshops. I think it looks fantastic." "Let me see," Clara exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as he handed her the colorful flyer. It showcased their upcoming events, gardening classes, cooking workshops, and community potlucks. "This is perfect, Alexander. I can't believe how far we've come." "Believe it," he replied with a grin. "You've inspired so many people. This garden is a beacon of hope for our neighborhood." "Sometimes, I still can't believe we pulled it off," Clara admitted, her voice dropping slightly. "What if interest fades after the festival? What if I can't keep this going?" Alexander studied her with a knowing gaze. "That fear is normal, Clara. But look at what you've created. It's a living testament to resilience. People are invested in this garden because of you." "I just want it to mean something," she said, her voice softening. "It already does. Every seed planted, every child running through rows of vegetables, it all means something special," he assured her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll keep nurturing it. Together." With that, Clara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of doubt begin to lift. Their community garden was more than just a project. It was a thriving ecosystem of support and connection. She watched as neighbors mingled, exchanging recipes and stories, each interaction a thread weaving them closer together. Later that afternoon, Clara gathered the children, including Lucy, under the shade of a large oak tree for a gardening workshop. "Okay, everyone, today we're going to talk about companion planting," she said, her enthusiasm radiating. "Did you know that some plants can help each other grow?" Wide-eyed, the children leaned in, eager to learn. "Like how?" Lucy asked, her curiosity evident. "For example, tomatoes and basil," Clara explained. "Basil can help keep pests away from tomatoes, and they taste great together in pasta." "Can we plant them together?" another child asked, his hand shooting up. "Absolutely. Let's split into groups and see how many different combinations we can come up with," Clara encouraged, her heart soaring as the children buzzed with excitement. As they discussed and planned, Clara felt a sense of fulfillment. Teaching them about gardening wasn't just about the plants. It was about nurturing their curiosity and love for nature. It was moments like these that reinforced her belief in the power of community. But as the days turned into weeks, Clara faced an unexpected challenge: the weather. A looming heat wave threatened their plants, and the dry soil became a source of anxiety. Clara could feel her heart race as she walked through rows of wilting leaves, her mind swirling with worry. "Clara, we need to come up with a plan," Alexander said one evening as they assessed the garden together. "The forecast shows no rain for a while, and we can't let the plants suffer." "I know," she replied, biting her lip. "I just don't want to let everyone down. We've worked so hard." "Then let's work harder. We can organize a watering schedule and get volunteers to help," he suggested, his tone steady and reassuring. "We're in this together, remember?" As the sun set, Clara felt the weight of despair lift slightly. "You're right. We can't control the weather, but we can control how we respond. Let's gather everyone for a meeting." The next day, Clara stood before a crowd of volunteers, her heart pounding with nerves. "Thank you all for coming. I know things are tough right now, but we need your help to keep our garden alive," she began, her voice unwavering. "If we work together, we can save our plants." Excited murmurs filled the air, and she could see determination on everyone's faces. "We'll create a watering schedule. Each group can take turns coming to the garden to ensure every plant gets what it needs." As they broke into smaller groups to discuss logistics, Clara felt a renewed sense of hope. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about all of them, working together for a shared purpose. Days passed as they implemented the watering plan, and Clara watched awestruck as neighbors rallied around the struggling garden. They came together, filling buckets, making trips to the nearby river, and sharing stories while they worked. It was a testament to the community spirit that had blossomed through the garden. Finally, the day arrived when rain was forecasted. Clara awoke to the sound of steady raindrops against her window, a symphony of hope that filled her with joy. She rushed outside, feeling the coolness of the rain on her skin and the scent of wet earth. "Look at the garden!" Lucy squealed, twirling in the rain, her laughter mixing with the sound of the raindrops. "It's so happy." Clara couldn't help but smile, her heart swelling as she watched the plants drink in the much-needed water. As the clouds parted, a brilliant rainbow arched across the sky, illuminating the garden in a palette of colors. "Clara, the garden is going to thrive," Alexander said, standing beside her, their faces aglow with the beauty of the moment. "I truly believe it," she replied, her voice filled with hope. "This garden is a reflection of all of us, strong and resilient." As they stood together, Clara realized that the challenges they had faced only solidified their bonds. Each struggle had been a stepping stone, paving the way for a deeper connection to one another and to the earth. Weeks later, Clara found herself preparing for another event, the first community harvest dinner. The excitement in the air was palpable as neighbors gathered to celebrate the fruits of their labor. Clara had decorated the long table with flowers from the garden, and the aroma of roasted vegetables wafted through the air. "Everything looks amazing," Lucy exclaimed, bouncing in place next to her. "Thank you, Lucy. You've helped so much," Clara replied, kneeling to give her a quick hug. I couldn't have done it without all of you." As the sun set, Clara welcomed everyone, her heart racing with anticipation. "I'm so grateful to see all of you here tonight. This garden represents our hard work, but it also symbolizes our unity as a community. Together, we've nurtured not just plants but friendships." Applause erupted, and Clara felt tears prick at her eyes. She scanned the crowd, seeing familiar faces lit by the warm glow of string lights. Neighbors exchanged dishes filled with their favorite recipes, each plate a testament to the abundance their garden had provided. "Clara," a voice called from the group. It was Mrs. Thompson again. "Thank you for bringing us all together. We've missed this sense of community." Clara's heart swelled. "I'm just a gardener. You're the ones who have made this garden a reality." As they shared food and stories, Clara felt a profound sense of belonging. The laughter, the shared experiences, and the joy of community filled her with hope. She had learned that life's challenges were inevitable, but through connection and resilience, they could weather any storm. As the night continued, Clara stood back, taking in the beauty of the moment. She realized that every seed planted, every challenge faced, and every friendship cultivated had brought them to this point, a place of hope, laughter, and love. In that warm glow, Clara understood that the journey of a gardener was not just about tending to plants. It was about nurturing the human spirit. And as she looked around at the smiling faces, she knew that together they would continue to grow, inspire, and overcome whatever came their way. And so, with each passing season, Clara would walk not just in the rain but also in the sunshine, embracing the beauty of life's unpredictability and the incredible strength of a united community.